Divine Grace. BD0897 from May 4, 1939, taken from book number 18. Hear the divine voice. In the struggle with himself, man must grow stronger and seek to pass all tests of life. Spiritual strength is at his disposal at all times, and he is constantly surrounded by spiritual friends who are ready to help and only await his call. And thus your thoughts may only ever turn to them in supplication, and you will escape every adversity and danger. And now receive divine grace, and with it the mercy and love of the Father in heaven are available to every person to such an extent that he can become completely free from all earthly fetters and every desire which still applies to material life. The Father in heaven gives and gives, and his grace is not exhausted, only it must not be carelessly passed by on the human side, but it must be consciously desired and received. Only then will the earthly child be able to cope with every challenge, for it is not the sole conqueror of it, but the divine strength itself communicates itself to the earthly child, and the human being is able to easily overcome what previously seemed insurmountable to him. The human being cannot grasp the term grace in its deepest meaning. It is such an extraordinary bestowal of divine help. It is a continuous transmission of spiritual strength. It is the evidence of everlasting love and divine mercy. And if the human being lives in God's grace, he is surrounded by invisible protection. He desires the granting a divine strength and is, as it were, seized by it, so that all his actions and thoughts are determined by divine will. God's grace helps him to be active in God's will. Only a fully believing human being can consciously receive God's grace because he believes in God, in his strength and his direct connection with people, and in the great love which thus expresses itself through the granting of grace. He desires and receives and thus takes the outpouring of divine love into himself, and this, in turn, must strengthen him himself and increase his faith and love for the Creator, and at the same time, however, also allow him to offer resistance to all afflictions on earth, for the strength from God is stronger than all hostility from the world. Ask and you will receive. And this applies especially to the grace that is constantly granted to you, without which you will hardly be able to master earthly life. To ask for divine grace means, as it were, to constantly seek contact with the Father in heaven. And this contact alone must impart strength to you, for then you will seek the Spirit from whom you originated. You will turn to him in search of help, whose creature you are. You will recognize your origin and willingly submit to divine strength. And thus it can also be conveyed to you, and to such an extent that earthly life will appear more bearable to you, and you will be able to fulfill your earthly task without stagnation. For those who love God and desire his strength, to whom he communicates indefinitely. And those who consciously commend themselves to God's grace may also receive the unlimited supply of love which the Father in heaven intended for his earthly children in order to make the struggle on earth easier for them, for everything depends on his grace, and blessed are those who ask for grace, for they will be visibly protected on earth and need no other help than that which comes from above, which is God's love and mercy. Amen.